Get ready for an exclusive behind-the-scenes player's guide to Sports 2000 from the casinos and sportsbooks of Curacao, the exotic Dominica, the exciting Antigua, and the fabulous nation of Costa Rica. It's Inside Sports 2000 with your guide and host, Buzz Daly.
Welcome to Inside Sports Gaming 2000. We're here in San Jose, Costa Rica. Right behind this government building in the background is possibly ground zero of the offshore sports betting industry. There's lots of questions that we're going to get answered in the next 60 minutes, but there's one that we'll take care of right now. Is it legal to bet offshore? Well, that question is not yet been definitively answered. And by definitively, I mean the Supreme Court has not made a ruling. But there is one thing that is definitive, and that it's legal for us to bet. So as long as Uncle Sam doesn't object, let's go check out what's probably the largest single sports book doing business under one roof. For the segment on NASA Sports International, we were fortunate to speak directly with CEO Greg Champion. Although unable to appear on camera, the essence of the narrative for this segment is predicated on his comments, opinions, and observations. The year 2000 marks the start of NASA's 10th football season. The company measures its duration in that fashion because football is the primary betting sport. The offshore gaming industry continues to grow more robust as greater numbers of savvy bettors take advantage of an attractive alternative to local bookies. As more shops vie for players, sign-up incentives are getting more generous, perhaps too generous. Despite the crowded marketplace, NASA continues to thrive. Although official numbers aren't available, the company is arguably the biggest offshore book in the world. Certainly, it is the largest such facility under one roof, with around 60,000 square feet of space and growing. We spoke with one of NASA's top executives. We're here at NASA Sports International, and in lieu of the absence of our host, Greg Champion, we're talking with Carlos Chamberlain, who is the general manager of NASA. And Carlos, it's a pleasure to be here. We've been very impressed with all that we've seen. The facilities are truly outstanding. And I understand that NASA is physically the largest sports book in the world. Could you expand on that?
Sure. Actually, we are, for sure, the largest sport book around the world. We have, right now, 30,000 square foot in facilities. We have just purchased another 30,000 square foot. We have around 358 employees right now, and we will be close to 700 by this September. And we're proud of that. We are sure that we are the biggest around the world, and we are trying to improve to be bigger even.
Lots of employment, lots of technology. It sounds as if this country must be getting some benefits out of this company being here.
Sure. We bring to this country a lot of benefits. Not only the great salaries that we are paying to our employees, that they are very, very high according to the media here. We also pay a lot of electrical bills. We pay phone bills for millions of colones of dollars a year. We are the size of the biggest companies in town. We're the same as Coca-Cola company here, or the Nissan dealer, or Intel.
So NASA is the equivalent of a Fortune 500 company right here in Costa Rica.
Yes, we are.
Now, I did notice that there's a lot of smiling employees. Is that you mentioned the salaries that you pay here. Is that because they're happy, they're pretty well paid?
Yeah, they are pretty well paid. Plus that, we offer them study, we offer them training, we offer them a lot of other benefits like a daycare, like a gymnasium facility. We are very close to the universities. They don't have to travel a lot. And let me tell you, we pay 3 times the median of the salaries here.
3 times? Wow. Got any job openings? Well, with that respect, if you're paying 3 times the going wage rate in this country or in this location, you must be getting the cream of the crop. Okay, we've talked enough suits. Let's get to the nitty-gritty. We've got Rick Vargas, sportsbook supervisor, with us. And Rick, 10 minutes to go on an NFL Sunday before kickoff. What are you doing?
What am I doing? That's a good question. Basically, what I'm doing is answering questions for those clerks. I'm helping out customers. If they don't know how to wager, I help them out. Basically, I'm moving into lines as well, trying to see if they're going to give us a big hit or not. I would imagine that 10 minutes before the game time, there's a lot of phones ringing, so there's a lot of action going on.
And there must be a lot of pressure on you if you've got to be giving up the answers to these folks real fast.
There sure is, and plus you have to give it to them correctly. You can't give them an incorrect question because, incorrect answer, I mean, because, this could come into a point where the clerk won't understand what he's going to tell the customer, and the customer will not know what he's going to do.
So if you could give a player one piece of advice to make life easier for himself and for the book, what would it be?
Well, know what you're going to do before you do it. That would be my point. I mean, these guys have to know what they're going to do before they do it. So once they're going to wager on it, be sure about what they're going to do, who they want, and from there on, just enjoy it.
Okay, so after they make their play, just make it a straight pick and give it to the
Just give it to the clerk, know what you're going to do, just go and turn on that TV and enjoy the game.
Well, that sounds pretty good. Listen, why don't we go to the wagering room? How about taking us there, and we'll check it out in action.
No problem, be more than glad.
Over 90% of NASA's customers are men, and Greg Champion believes the popularity of betting derives from men's involvement with sports as participants or spectators. When you have an opinion on a game, it's a natural extension to back it with a few dollars. The size of your bet depends on how much you value your opinion. NASA doesn't try to pigeonhole its customers, since they run the gamut from sports bettors to those who just dabble in betting on, say, the Super Bowl or Kentucky Derby. NASA also takes action on wagers key to entertainment and public figures. It sets odds on the Academy Awards and Emmys, and has a lot of customers who enjoy betting on those events. Due to the size of its client base, NASA offers an unusually comprehensive betting menu, which includes soccer and other European sports. In order to keep players from having a field day finding holes in its lines, NASA employs odds makers who live, eat, and breathe statistics. These number crunchers also factor in how the public will bet on an event. Combining stats and public preferences lets NASA post lines that theoretically will get two-way action. However, more about that later. Of course, not everyone who bets with NASA is American. It books action from all around the world. Consequently, it deals in many currencies. When a customer establishes an account, a currency is selected that stays with them. So, for instance, if you logged on from Japan, the yen would be your currency. Now, today's players do a lot more than just bet sides and totals. At NASA, halftime bets have become nearly as popular as a straight bet on a game. Recently, lines in each quarter have been added, and that's been drawing lots of interest. Once players start betting on props, they get hooked, and the additional fun and excitement these wagers provide is contagious. Today, props are a mainstay of not only NASA, but most sports books. Greg Champion noted that if there's a single wager players are drawn to, it is parlays. If we post a line, they'll bet it, and they'll figure out a way to parlay it as well, he told us. Many players like to get a head start on next week's action, and books accommodate them by putting up their lines on Sunday. NASA posts the following week's NFL schedule about 5 minutes after halftime of the Sunday night game. College odds also go up on Sunday, and totals are available by Tuesday or Wednesday. Servicing the broader general market seems to make sense, but we wondered how NASA deals with wise guys or professional bettors, since they are a fact of life in this industry. Champion said his company is dedicated to providing its large audience of casual and recreational bettors with the best possible product and service. That precludes dealing with wise guys. Champion feels it's just too time-consuming to cater to the special needs of professional bettors, and NASA is upfront in letting them know their business is not sought after. The book handles such large volume, it really doesn't concern itself with whether individual bettors win or lose. Many regularly beat the book, some for very substantial amounts of money. Serious handicappers are more than welcome, advises Champion. You might wonder just how NASA can differentiate between a good handicapper and a wise guy. Here's how. Greg Champion describes it this way. We don't know them by name or face, but they come in, they bet their maximum allowable limit, which might range from a dime to 10 dimes. Then as soon as they make their play and we hang up the phone, the line just whips from 6 to 7. That's a dead giveaway, getting in just ahead of the line move. Another group, well known within the sports betting community, are the followers. And we asked Champion about them. He said they're easy to spot. They just call up after the wise guy's 5-dime bet moves the line. The follower takes the game at the new price. He's paying a premium, so their action is routinely booked. We asked Champion to explain another industry term, steam game, which many people are really not that clear about. These situations are created by syndicates of bettors with large amounts of capital at their disposal. They're very strong handicappers, or they have very reliable inside knowledge regarding certain games. They send out a play to a large number of their agents, who then make those bets, mostly with the offshore books. Those plays change the lines. The way steam operates is that when one person bets, the word goes out and it just keeps multiplying. It might all originate from a single phone call, but eventually it seems that everyone is playing the same side or total. Over the years, certain gentlemen have done very, very well originating steam, said Champion. Posting lines is an important part of the wagering process. NASA subscribes to 3 services, Don Best, DBC, and Sports Tracker. Then in-house odds makers review all 3 of those lines and adjust them so that they're fairly generic. Then they post them and let the players have a go at it. With the availability of so many different lines at all the offshore books, you might think NASA would be concerned about getting middled. But Champion told us bookmakers who worry about getting middled tend to have sharper players. He was referring to guys sitting alongside the guy who's known as the originator. They're coming in and they're taking the first pop. They're also taking the second pop, he told us. Then, if another syndicate comes in on the other side and takes it back, the book is sitting with big volume on both sides. Now, ordinarily, NASA gets lots of one-sided action because so many of its customers reflect prevailing public opinion. Such a scenario belies the traditional notion that bookmakers get balanced action and earn profit from the VIG. Champion stressed that VIG certainly adds to the equation, but he conceded there are days when it's just about winning decisions. Given the mix of NASA's customers, often the book is stacked heavily on favorites. So much of the time, it's not about VIG. You're either going to win or you're going to lose the game, just like the players, Champion told us. Well, maybe not quite like the players, since NASA has much deeper pockets than its customers. Still, it's comforting to know sometimes the books are on the edge of their seats just like we are. Now, looking ahead to the football season, we asked what new technological goodies might be in store for NASA's players. Surprisingly, Champion said one of the more exciting advances NASA will introduce is this automated touch-tone phone system. That's right, a phone system. This will let players bet through an automated phone system, bypass the clerk, as the players will be walked through the menu via a recording. Champion feels it will prove its worth at crunch time, and we're talking about NFL Sundays. Bettors everywhere besiege sportsbooks about 15 minutes before game time. Even with all its clerks, it's possible an NASA customer might have to wait. With this system, said Champion, we've eliminated that possibility. The marketplace ultimately determines whether it accepts a new product. Meanwhile, NASA will have borne the expense of an experiment which, if it works, will undoubtedly turn up at other books. Champion said the company frequently beta tests a lot of innovative products and services for the industry, and he's not concerned about it. Moving on to another subject, the issue of safety today, it's almost a cliche, but it's still foremost in the minds of many bettors. If we're talking about safety, as in will I get paid safety, Champion insists that's a valid concern. He's told us players should be wary of companies with no proven track record or who are recent startups. NASA has grown to its size by earning a reputation for being solid as a rock and paying promptly. Word of mouth is very, very powerful in this industry. NASA also has a big advertising budget, which keeps the name in front of the public. The company invites customers to its headquarters in Costa Rica to see the facilities and to show off its 350-plus computer stations and other areas of operation. Well, watching this program will save you a trip to Costa Rica.
Are you a savvy sports bettor? If you're betting with BetOnSports.com, you are. BetOnSports.com is the world's largest legal and licensed sports book. It is rated #1 by the Offshore Gaming Association and has achieved that honor for the past 3 years. BetOnSports.com won this rating the old-fashioned way. It earned the top spot by satisfying its worldwide base of customers. Here's how. With more betting events, more props, account activation within 15 minutes, reputation for stability and financial security, plus an online sports betting and world-class virtual casino. What are you waiting for? Got an opinion on the game? Bet it. Call 1-888-996-BETS and get into action. And be sure to visit our website, www.betonsports.com. That's betonsports.com, where you bet with confidence, bet with the biggest.
Open your account now and you'll be in action in 5 minutes. Prompt payments, wire transfers, credit card reversals, bank checks, overnight delivery. Don't miss any of the action. Real-time lines, real-time odds, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Games graded immediately upon completion. State-of-the-art technology allows you to do pending wagers and check account balances. Whether you're a high roller or a casual bettor, everybody is welcome at abookiejoint.com. So you want to bet on football? Our customers know where to play, right here at abookiejoint.com. Where betting online is a layup, 18 weeks of pulse-pounding action. And if you're a phone bettor, no problem. Our state-of-the-art call center is ready when you've got a lock on the day. Live lines. Our odds are real time. We're not talking about plain vanilla betting menus. We're talking about quarters, halftime, money lines, sweetheart teasers, Vegas-style teasers, true payouts on all parlays, up to 10 teams, futures, and enough props to keep you entertained all weekend. Online or through our call center, abookiejoint.com, where we take care of our customers. By the way, don't you want to just hang out at abookiejoint.com? Well, then call 1-800-277-6838. That's toll free to 1-800-277-6838. Check out our website for our exciting contest. Free entry, and you can win big, where friendly personal service is always our priority.
Hi, sports bettors. We're in Curacao in the Netherlands Antilles, home to a growing community of diversified and successful offshore gaming companies. These books take action on lots of sports, both over the phone and online. They also offer cyber casinos. As they prosper and expand, this industry is becoming an integral part of the island's economy and is helping give its residents hope for a brighter future. These books take action on lots of sports. They also offer cyber casinos. As they prosper and expand, this industry is becoming an integral part of the island's economy and is helping give its residents hope for a brighter future. This building houses a leading offshore book which has earned a reputation for liberal limits and competitive vig. Pinnacle Sports. Let's go in and take a look at the operation and talk to management. We're here talking with Matt Cates, Marketing Director at Pinnacle Sports. Matt, thanks for joining us here on Inside Sports Gaming 2000.
Wonderful to have you at Curacao, Buzz.
Whoa, by that accent I can tell that you didn't just arrive at Curacao off of the steamer out of New York City. Where are you from?
I'm from the land of kangaroos and koalas. I'm an Australian.
Okay, so you came from the land down under and now you're here in Curacao.
Yes, look forward to a new opportunity. I've worked for a wagering company in Australia, been in the industry down there for about 3 years, and looking forward to a new opportunity in Curacao.
Okay, how long has Pinnacle been around?
Pinnacle have been operating here in Curacao for over 3 years now, been licensed.
Okay, and how has it developed? I mean, I'm familiar with it because I know people that play here and they're pretty happy with it, but over the years, how has it developed?
Well, basically, like any offshore company, Buzz, we started off with a small group of players, some loyal players, and expanded now to a customer base of around about 10,000 customers and launching into the internet as of August 1. So in the past 3 years, we've had rapid growth, but we expect to have increased growth over the next sort of 5 years.
And the customers that bet with you, obviously they run the spectrum. If you got 10,000 customers, they must run the spectrum from small players to huge players.
We've got all sorts here, Buzz. We've got guys who'll come in and bet $5 a game against their side because they're superstitious that if they bet against their side will win, to the guys who bet $100,000 on any sort of sport from football to soccer and that size. The other product that tends to be very popular is if bets, so, you know, rolling on to the next bets.
Right, well now an if bet seems to me to be a nice little product of a function of money management where it's not like a parlay. You can adjust your play so that if one wins, now you've got a play on the second game, but you're not going to lose at all if you hit 1 out of 2.
That's exactly right. You know, again, catering for our clients.
Well now, with the upcoming football season, are there any promotions or any special options that you're going to get out there for your players?
Yes, Buzz, you'll see a number of things launched on our new website. Which will be, we'll be continuing our $250,000 Monday Night Football Challenge, plus there will also be a $1 million handicapping challenge throughout the football season.
Well, that'll definitely get you some action. $1 million football challenge, a $250,000 challenge, yeah, that'll definitely get some action up here. When do your football lines get posted? That's a big deal. Guys like to know when those lines are going to go up.
Okay, basically, we're going to have something unique this year in that when our website is launched, you'll be able to see prices on the games for the whole season at the start of the season. So a Monday night game, 3 months down the track, you're going to see indicative prices from day one of the season. As far as real lines being posted, we tend to be out after the Monday night game. We'll be out the Tuesday morning with the next week's fixtures.
Well, now, with the number of bettors that you have and the limits you take, you must handle what are called steam games. And people will say, what is a steam game?
Well, basically a steam game is a game where money keeps coming for one side and keeps shortening the numbers and shortening the numbers. Now, I think everyone's aware that there are a number of games, you know, at least one a weekend that is dedicated as a steam game where the money believes that there's something going on or some reason that this game's going to go off. So you'll see the numbers just keep tumbling and tumbling on those particular games.
And have you ever made any kind of a survey on how often those games are correct and how often they're wrong?
Well, let's be honest, most of the time the money's right.
Okay, so the money is right. Now, who creates the money? Is that the touts? Is it wise guys? Who is it?
Well, it's a mixture of both. Obviously, the touts, you get plays from the players who subscribe to the tout service, all on the same side. But there's a lot of very, very sharp individuals out there who've got big bankrolls that probably create more of the money than the touts.
Now, we hear a lot about the wise guys. Obviously, again, you're in a position to know who they are and what they are. How do you describe a wise guy, and how do you spot them?
Wise guys we can usually pick up within about the first, you know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of their plays. We tend to see what they're doing and what they're playing. It's very hard to categorise wise guys because they're from all walks of life. There's certain types of wise guys that have just got are very good at numbers and very good at statistics, and there's other sorts of wise guys that aren't necessarily that good, but they've got such a big bankroll that they can just keep coming in and hitting you. So there's two types of wise guys.
Well, what if a wise guy comes in on a play and very soon after that, just a regular bettor comes in on that play? How can you tell which one's the wise guy and which one is just a regular player?
Obviously, internally in our system as well, we have customer profiling, so we track what customers are doing. We know once a wise guy comes in, and we profile that customer as a wise guy once we gauge what his plays are like.
Well, now, with the kind of action that you're taking and the kind of players you have, you've got to have a lot of confidence in the numbers that you're putting up. Who gives you your line? Where does it originate?
Okay, obviously, on most sports that we do, we have individual handicappers, and we have handicappers located all around the world. We have people in Australia, South America, England, that do all our sorts of products. Obviously, to handle the limits we do and put out the lines that we do with the VIG that we offer, we have total confidence in our handicappers, because at the end of the day, that's how we make our money. And that's why we're able to take the bets we do.
And what causes the line to move? I mean, when you put up a number, what will make it move?
Money.
Money. And does that mean the amount of money or where the money is coming from?
A mixture of both, because obviously, again, if we've got a player that is very, very sharp, not necessarily bets a lot of money, but he's come for a side, we class that as another handicapper giving us some information on that game. So we will move a line, not necessarily on money, but on the player that's playing that game.
So you use that sharp player of yours as an additional handicapping tool, so to speak.
Very much so. Helps us sharpen up our lines.
Now, you mentioned a little bit earlier, you mentioned the Don Best screen. How do you use that? What is it, and where does it become a tool?
Well, basically the Don Best screen gives us an update on what other books are doing and where money is going into other areas, because I think everyone in the industry knows that wise guys sort of play with numerous books, not just one book. And sometimes it's a window to the outside on what's going on elsewhere. So there might be players in certain games going for one game that aren't coming for a game here. If we have an opinion on that game that other books are going out with a different number, we'll put out a completely different number to try and get some of that money on that game.
Well, Matt, is there anything we haven't covered that you'd like to throw in and include, or?
No, I think we've sort of covered everything. Basically, I do want to just to suggest to all the players out there that they do a bit more research on their plays over the internet. Information is free these days. I also want to suggest to these players out there that you know, you talk to your local politicians too about gambling, because being an Australian, we come from a position where in Australia we have a saying: you don't trust anyone who doesn't have a drink and doesn't have a bet. So from my point of view, looking at the legislation that looks to be passed in America seems unrealistic, when a lot of Americans do enjoy a wager, and with the legislation that if it does go through, it's just going to create a huge black industry in that country that doesn't need to be created at the end of the day.
Well, Matt, I like the Aussie culture, a drink and a bet. I'd love to export that and bring it right over to the US of A. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Buzz.
If you're watching this show, you probably bet on sports. Well, British Caribbean is not the biggest sports book in the world, but we're working on it. Frankly, there's a lot of Me Too books around these days, but British Caribbean wants your business, and so we offer our customers more reason to play with us. First, we cater to both the smaller and the bigger players. We offer both internet and phone betting. We're licensed, established, and trusted. We offer the absolute best benefits package in the business. Compare what our members receive. 15% bonus parlay bet on your initial deposit. A shot to double every additional deposit you make, up to $2,000. Free Nevada sports schedules. Free enrollment in our comp club. We reward players for their play with us with truly spectacular gifts. Quality customer service and the same betting lines that the wise guys play into. And of course, we make daily payouts. Sounds good? Well, it gets better. This football season, we're dealing 5-cent juice on NFL Thursday, Saturday, and the late Sunday night games. That's right. Lay 105 to win 100. Parlays, teasers, if bets or reverses, no problem. We'll book it. Props, futures, and moneyline players, we're your man. Horse bettors, we book major track action by the phone. $10 minimum bets. Online bettors, just go to our website. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, rain or shine. Open your account today with $25 minimum deposit. Can't always get to a computer? No problem. Call us toll free. We have over 120 English-speaking phone clerks just waiting to handle your action. $50 minimum bets. Nobody but nobody can beat our Monday Night Football props. Our props are guaranteed to keep you in the game, even if the score is 28-0 at halftime. Like casino games? Well, at British Caribbean Casino, all your favorite table games are waiting for you. Blackjack, craps, video poker, and more. Sign up today and get a free $10 comp casino chip. Whether you bet $5, parlays, or 5-dime sides, Why not get the most bang for your betting buck by signing up with us now? Post up online or by phone and sleep easy, knowing you're dealing with an established and trusted sportsbook that knows how to take care of business.
We're on the island of Antigua, one of the places in the Caribbean where the offshore industry originated. Today, it houses a thriving community of offshore sports books. Obtaining a license here for a book and/or an online casino is not cheap. When this show was filmed in early summer, there was ongoing discussion between the government and gaming operators over the issue of taxation and regulation. WWTS, or Worldwide Telesports, welcomes regulation and understands the need for taxation. They've been doing business since the early 1990s. That's a long time in this industry, which only recently achieved mainstream status. Created by an American entrepreneur, WWTS is one of the companies whose stability and sound management helped the offshore business survive its early years. Now operated under local leadership, the legacy of WWTS founder Bill Scott lives on, and that legacy encompasses vigorous growth and a commitment to both customers and staff. It services a wide variety of bettors, from heavy hitters to $5 parlay bettors on the internet, from wise guys to couch potatoes. Let's go check out Worldwide Telesports. We're at WWTS. Now, this operation didn't get to be this big by accident. So let's go check with an operations manager and find out just some of the things that go on over here. There's some serious bookmaking going on over here, and we're standing with the operations manager, so maybe we can get behind the scenes and find out a few secrets from her. We're going to talk with Kathy, the operations manager. Kathy, what does the operations manager do over here?
Well, basically, we move the lines according to money that we get, according to major changes, injuries, pitching changes, and so forth.
And that money comes in from all sorts of players. Which ones actually move the line? Is it booking to faces, or is it booking to a huge number?
Well, basically, when our wise guys bet, we move it a drastic amount, so we get the right amount of buyback that we need. But also, we have square bettors that bet a big amount, but it may not be the steam play at the moment. But we do move it to try and get some of that back. And depending on how much we get back, we'll probably take it back to its original number.
Okay, now you suggested that you need some buyback. Some people might not know what buyback is. Could you explain it?
Well, buyback is basically if you have A playing against B and somebody has bet A for a great amount of money, we obviously have a drastic difference between the money on A and the money on B. You don't want to make it even because you have to make a profit. So you try and get it within a particular margin that we have set, I guess, depending on the particular game. And we try and get it within that margin so there's a decision at game time.
During the football season, how often do games come in that are balanced as opposed to those coming in where you inevitably wind up with a big decision?
Well, with football, it's not that bad. Well, most games we have not really a big decision, but a fairly good decision. We move a half a point here or half a point there. It all depends on how the steam bets the games.
Now, when you move a game a half a point, do players actually respond and come back and jump in on the other side?
Some do, I guess, if it's what they want, because sometimes steam players want it, the squares may not take it. If the squares take it, then the steam doesn't take it, but we move it and we hope for the best.
We hear about the public and we hear about wise guys. At the end of the day, is it the wise guys that wind up moving the line, or is it the public?
With baseball, I have to say the wise guys end up moving the line the most. With football, it's kind of iffy, but baseball, definitely the wise guys.
Okay, well, I want to ask you one more question. Since most of us are not wise guys, how do we get to be wise guys?
Well, that's a little difficult to say because basically all wise guys, 90% of them bet directly out of Vegas. I guess they get most of their information first, so they know what's in, what's out, who are the better pitchers, who are the better fielders, I guess, so they know if somebody's out, okay, you're going to bet this side. If the game's where it is, they just bet who they particularly want.
Well, it's encouraging. I already live in Vegas. Now I just have to do the 99% of the other stuff that I mentioned. So, Kathy, thanks a lot. We're here at WWTS, and we're talking with veteran bookmaker, sportsbook manager, Roger Pelamonte. Roger's been around the track a few times, and we're going to tap into some of his expertise. Roger, how do you get to be a veteran bookmaker?
Well, first of all, you have to be old, which I am. And second of all, I started out as a player. And after a long time of losing, I figured, hell, it's got to be better on the other side than it is on this side, and that's where I started in Detroit, Michigan.
So another player beaten up by the 11-10. Is that what happened?
That's exactly what happened.
And you segued into the bookmaking side of it. How did you like it early on?
Early on, it was fantastic. It was all no information. Guys that bet the home teams because that's where they were from. Put parlay cards out at -1, and ties lose. And it was never a case of, were we going to make money this week? It was, how much money are we going to make this week?
Roger, you're giving me heartburn. You're bringing back the good old days, and they weren't so good. Fortunately, that was then, this is now. You've got to deal with a whole different world out there. The players aren't at quite such a disadvantage, and the offshore industry apparently has been one of the big catalysts to change things for the players. Is that the way it seems to look?
Yeah, at one time it was Las Vegas that changed them. And it's faded from that, and it's now all offshore. Offshore is where the industry is going to end up. It's where it's going to continue to grow. It will not grow in Las Vegas. It will not grow in the States.
What about the public? Are there any exotic bets that have got the public's fancy in the last year or two?
The public loves props. They love exotics. They love action points. Anything you can put out. Who's going to catch more passes? Who's going to run for more yards? For some reason, they seem to love it, and it's so unpredictable. And yet, that's what they'll zero in on. They love that.
And those kind of plays are usually up there, say on a Thursday night, a Sunday night game. And it sounds like the NFL is creating more opportunities because you've got Thursday night games now. Late in the season, you got a couple of games on Saturday. You've got your Monday night game, your late Sunday night game. You have a lot of opportunities to give people props to chew on.
Yeah, and when you only have one game, you want all the action you can get. Now, you can only take so much action on a game, but you want to give them as much as you can on one game to bet.
Now, when you're dealing with the wide variety of players that you deal with, everything from the rankest of the squares to the sharpest of the sharps, and you put a line up there on a prop, you find out pretty quick whether or not somebody thinks you put a soft number up there, don't you?
Oh yeah, if you put a number up in the morning, I guarantee you 2 hits and you'll be at the right number. They will take you there real quick.
Okay, but again, that's the value of the wise guy. They help you sharpen your line, so they're not necessarily a big-time detriment.
No, they're there to be used.
Don't you take much bigger plays offshore than they do in Vegas?
Oh yeah, we take much bigger plays in Vegas, and we don't care. We don't care who you are. We don't care if you're an originator. We have respect for you. We're going to respect your opinion. And I love them because they say, here's my money. I don't agree with your number. Let's go to war. They don't ask you for anything other than what they see, the number on the screen or the number they've been quoted. They're on and off the phone in 5 seconds. The bet's written, and now let's go on to other business.
Right. Well, they are professionals. They know what they're doing. They're not stammering and stuttering and getting it wrong and calling back in.
My girls at the front desk, when a number moves, and we've been hit, and the on-bet screen is lit up, the girls will just pick up the phone and say, sorry, you missed the number. And they'll say, oh, okay, thank you. Because it's one game that they're coming in on. Whether it be take the 4 and the game's gone to 3.5, we all know the game they're coming in on. Say, 3.5. They say, thank you, and it's done. I use different lines for different players. And the reason I do this is I've got a wise guy line now. That wise guy line is going to move every time it takes a hit. Come crunch time, when they're pounding away, that line is going to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Now I've also got a line for the guy that's going to come in and wants to bet a $100 parlay. Why should that line be constantly moving for him? In other words, he's going to call, he's going to get a rundown. It's going to be a consensus line. And he knows that when he calls back 5 minutes later or 7 minutes later, that there's not going to be that much movement. I mean, why should the guy that wants to play a parlay say, okay, I got this line and this team is 6.5, so I want to lay the 6.5, and all of a sudden he calls back and the game's 7. That line doesn't move that much.
Hey guys, you heard it here first. We have a bookmaker on camera admitting he's got a wise guy line and a square line, and the way he explained it, it makes perfectly good sense. Roger, that's a very adroit explanation. Nonetheless, when people see this, they're going to be screaming and hollering, some of them saying, you're cheating us. Do you think that they're correct?
No, I'm not cheating them. All they have to do is say, listen, you got me on a square line. Here, I'll put you on a wise guy line in a minute. Be careful what you wish for, because you may get it. Now, if a wise guy tells me I want to go on the square line, forget about it.
All right, folks, we'll translate that. Forget about it, in case you're not from New York. Well, Roger, talking about making different plays, you know, totals is something that a lot of players like to try and beat, and I know at a lot of places, and I don't know exactly how it works at WWTS, but you usually have a bigger number that you'll take on the side than you will on a total. Why is that?
You get a lot of fluctuation in totals. I don't believe that. And you have a lot of people that move different ways in totals. It's easier to get middled in totals. We don't get middled because I don't move the total, I move the money. People say, well, that's going to slow down the action. It doesn't slow down the action when you have people on the screen that will take a cubby total. I saw a cubby total they moved the other day from 10.5 to 12.5. Now, I assumed that they were getting hit along the way. After I got to 10.5 over 40, I went to 11, and then I kept 11 over and kept going on with money. Before the game time, it all came back down. It's so easy for them to create middles, and it doesn't take much in a baseball game to have a middle.
A 2-run middle in baseball would have a lot of people salivating.
Yes, yeah.
So by moving the money line at 10.5 and then doing it again at 11, you're not going to get middle. The worst that'll happen is you get sided for a degree.
I'm going to take a sidecar.
Well, how would you characterize the offshore industry as we head into this football season? I mean, you've been around, you've seen it grow, you've seen it develop. Obviously, it's taken off like gangbusters in many, many ways. There's been positives, there's been negatives. Where do you see it, and where is it going?
The ones that have been around for a while, like ourselves and like Chris and like so many good ones out there, are going to continue to grow. I look for them to eat up a lot of the smaller sports books. I look for a lot of sports books not to make it, to be honest with you. The competition out there now is too rough. There's too many out there. There's too many. It's happening here in our industry what happened in Las Vegas. You have attorneys and doctors that have money that they want to invest and want it tax-free, so they say, well, let's start up a sports book. They know nothing at all about the industry. They rely on certain people. And the minute that, you know, bookmakers have bad weeks too.
Good. Glad to hear that, Roger. Tell you the truth.
Not many.
Players have bad weeks, we have bad months, we have bad years.
But you take the attorney that's been talked into saying, well, listen, come up with X amount of dollars and get 10 of your friends and we'll sit there with so much money and we're going to start this sports book. Number one, they don't understand what the cost of an offshore sports book is. They don't understand what the overhead is. Naturally, the internet is making it cheaper, but the cost is still prohibitive. You better come in and you better know what you're doing. You better know where you are. You better know where your advertising dollar goes. And it's all run like a fine business.
WWTS, pretty fair operation. Why do people bet with you?
We've been around a long time. Our reputation is very, very good. We've advertised in the right places. We've treated everybody straight up and down. We've never missed a payment. We treat our help right. The public has to be treated with courtesy. We train our girls to do that. We don't run the wise guys out. We don't take any nonsense from. A wise guy doesn't get, "Good afternoon, sir. This is," a wise guy is up the front desk and, "Hey, what do you want?" and get off the phone.
Well, that sounds like an approach that has put you guys into the big leagues of the offshore industry and is going to keep you there. So once again, Roger, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Guess who bets with WWTS? Everybody. Bookies, squares, wise guys, movers, online and telephone bettors, even other sports books. WWTS takes everyone's action. When you win, you get paid. We have loyalty programs offering vacations, getaways, and you can also earn up to $1,000 with the WWTS referral program. It doesn't get any better than this. Call today to activate an account and get the WWTS Advantage. Bottom line, we pay. Call 1-800-238-9987. That's 1-800-BET-WWTS. Or go to www.betwwts.com. Be sure to check our offline casino at www.thesands.com. The best bet on the net. That's 1-800-BET-WWTS.
Hello, we're at Dune Sports, one of the more recent entries into this industry, and we're here with Mike, the head linesman for this very new operation. And Mike, tell us, what is a head linesman?
Well, a headline basically is somebody who's taking care of the lines, making sure everything is correct.
Thanks a lot for that insight, and we'll be talking with you again someday. Okay, bye-bye now. Samantha, what we have here is a customer service rep that's a little camera shy, so check out the back of her hair and use your imagination. Now, Sam, what about customer service here at Dunes? I understand it's pretty good. You tell us.
Yes, I try to run the department like I would want to be treated if I were a customer. We don't want the customer to just be a number. We try to know the customer. When they call, we don't just provide the data that they want, a balance check, to make a deposit, to make a withdrawal. We try to become familiar with each and every customer so that they feel comfortable using us, they feel we know them, and that's going to make them more likely to come back in the long run. In addition to that, everybody that works with me has worked in the industry for a long time. They have a lot of experience, and they know what they're doing. There's no fumbling around, for lack of a better term. They get the job done, it's efficient, there are no delays, and that's what keeps the customers coming back.
Well, typically, who would talk to you? Why would they be talking to you? If I'm calling in and making bets, why would I wind up talking to you one day?
Well, you have to do more than just place a bet. Obviously, we're a post-up business, therefore you have to deposit money into your account. Everybody hopes you only have to do it once, but occasionally, people have to make multiple deposits. Therefore, we take care of that.
What about if I make multiple withdrawals? Do I also talk to you?
Absolutely. We handle the withdrawals, we handle the deposits, we handle any questions a customer might have about their account. They might want to learn about, maybe they only bet point spreads. They want to learn a little bit more about the other types of wagers we offer. We help them out with that. So, it's not just customer service kind of gives the aura of complaints, but that's not it at all. Generally, we deal with very few complaints, and we deal with people who just need service. So. Right,
I wasn't thinking about that from the standpoint that service means I can ask you a simple question: how soon can I get my money?
Well, hey, at least at Dunes, we pay out 7 days a week. You give us a call, we get your money to you, Western Union, the same day. And obviously, other types of payouts, the time frame will vary because of Federal Express or anybody else or any other method that we use. So, but we do pay out 7 days a week, and that is often a reason customers call.
Pay out 7 days a week. Are your customers that good?
Well, we pay out 7 days a week if the customer so desires. That doesn't necessarily mean we're paying out 7 days a week,
Okay, well, it sounds like customer service is something that you take very seriously over here.
actually customer service is the basis of the operation. If you don't have friendly, accessible people, there's plenty of places to go place a bet in this industry. And everybody's operation is basically the same. We offer lines, people place bets. In order to differentiate yourself, the main way you can do that is through the gateway, which is customer service. We talk to the customer first, whether we call them or they call us. If they don't have a good impression of the customer service people and they don't feel comfortable that their money is going to be safe and that they're going to get a level of service that they expect, they're going to go elsewhere. So,
Samantha, where were you 5 years, 10 years, 15 years ago when I was betting with a local bookie in Jersey? Obviously, customer service is really serious over here.
Exactly. This is an industry. It's a business, and it's run as such. Just like any other company out there in technology, in manufacturing, customer service is essential to keeping customers around. And if you don't provide them with service, they're going to go elsewhere. So that has to be the mainstay of any business, and we realize that, and I think that's what really makes us excel.
Samantha, service with a smile. That's how I remember Dunes.
Thank you.
Our motto epitomizes what we stand for at Dune Sports. We're bigger because we see the big picture. With over 100 years combined experience, Dunes is your best bet. You can find our lines on the Don Best feed, the premier line service. We're better with better customer service, better wagering options, better marketing, and better technology. Try our live line feed to your web cell phones. The newest in cutting-edge technology, live lines, live scores, all to your cell phone. We're faster with 7-day-a-week payouts, same-day Western Union, and easy wagering options, plus technical assistance unequaled in the industry. We have more wagering options. Wager online, over the phone, and soon directly over your web cell phone, plus customer service second to none. Call now, Dune Sports, 1-877-600-9116. Set up your account today. Call now and get in the game.
Today's offshore gaming industry has evolved into a viable, prosperous business, which is servicing growing numbers of sports bettors who demand a lot more than just a local phone number to call on Saturdays and Sundays. Reliable old-line shops like NASA and WWTS are being joined by new startups funded by venture capitalists. One of the more impressive new entries is a company that features a first-class sportsbook with a full-service casino. Dominica-based Vegas Book combines deep pockets, solid management, and abundant bookmaking savvy. It is a prototype of the new millennium offshore gaming company. We visited with Vegas Book right here in Las Vegas. We're talking with Joe Gallagher, an ex-bookmaker who started one of the first offshore books and today is an advisor to offshore gaming companies throughout the world. Welcome to Sports Gaming 2000, Joe, and thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, boss.
Before we talk about Vegas Book, let's get the stage set by getting some background about this industry. And it's only 2 decades old, isn't it?
I don't even think it's that old. I think really the basis of this business has probably started in the early 1993 involving the offshore books. There were some illegal bookmakers that went offshore in the 80s, but as far as legally trying to apply this in these different countries, I think probably 92, maybe 93 were the toll-free 800 numbers, and I think 95 and 96 started to get into the virtual casinos.
Now, how and why did the offshore sportsbook industry even come into being? What was the rationale for getting it going?
I think the motivation initially was for the illegal bookmakers in different parts of the world, preferably the United States. They wanted to get away from the Justice Department. And I think they wanted to go in an environment that they felt would nurture that. I think some of these countries, early like the Dominican Republic, was probably the foundation or the genesis for this business. Since then, other countries have spun off because this business is moving at light speed.
Well, now, talking about the genesis, you were president of the genesis with your own book, were you not?
Yeah, I got the idea probably in '93 to do this, and was set up in '94 in the Dominican Republic, but I was involved in a car accident, and it kind of changed what I was going to do in life. I guess I became a consultant by accident. It's actually a play on words, but that's what happened to me. I just reinvented myself, I guess, at 54 years old.
Well, before you reinvented yourself, what was your rationale for starting a book? I mean, you were a bookmaker.
I was a bookmaker in the United States. I've been doing that in one fashion or another since I was 12 years old. I got disenchanted with it in the middle to late 80s. Because of the environment in the U.S., I thought, and I still feel that bookmakers are very honorable people. They pay people, they shake hands, they make an agreement, they live up to it. And today, in this day and age, that's an honorable thing. And I started looking offshore probably in the early 90s. It didn't seem viable. I kind of started in Margarita in 93 and evolved into the Dominican Republic in 94.
And who was betting with you? What kind of players were they? Was that post-up business or credit?
Yes, I didn't do business with any of the customers I previously had unless they posted up. I just figured that in order to do this, I wanted to pursue it in a legal fashion. I didn't want any credit business. I didn't want any agents back in the States, so I abided by the law of the country where I was licensed. So basically, we advertised and had people send in certified checks.
Okay, let's flash forward to 2000. How has offshore gaming changed since you started taking bets over the phone?
It's unbelievable that in the past 6 or 7 years, how this has exploded. There are credit card companies that are pursuing the offshore industry now in one fashion or another. It was very difficult to transfer money around in the early days, but now with the technology available, the internet has expanded, I think, and taken this to another level. I think it's not the gambling or bookmaking per se. I think it's basically the technology. I think the internet and the telecommunications business has just picked this up and taken it along in a very rapid fashion.
So you've got a lot of vendors out there supporting the bookmaking operations with technology.
Absolutely. I was just at a symposium in Montreal, and it was unbelievable. There must have been 600 people there. There were probably 15 or 20 software developers. There were credit card processing companies. I mean, when I got into this business, there was nobody like that. And it seems it's expanding, it's moving out. A lot of people from foreign countries, publicly traded companies, are getting involved in this. The disappointment I see now is the approach that the U.S. Government is taking to this, because I feel that they're overlooking a big opportunity for revenues in some fashion or another. I just think that the government, you know, if they get involved in something, they usually screw it up. And I think if you let this rise and fall on its own merits, I think it polices itself. It's unusual, but it does, because in this business, if you don't pay, you're out of business.
Okay, well, Joe, look, it's our tradition to, you know, you've been very gracious. You've answered a lot of questions, tough questions, and you've done a nice job of it, but our tradition is to wind up with a softball question so you can go out with a flourish. What is it about Vegas Book that sets it apart from its competitors and makes people want to play with it?
I think what it offers the client is a secure way that they can send their money in. And the question I was always asked when I had my operation, how do I know my money's safe? And the quickest way we can tell anybody about that, very simply, is this. You control your own money. Your money is in a bank where you have a credit card, you have an IBC. We do not control that.
Okay, well, Joe, listen, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and we've learned a lot about Vegas Book, and it's just one more operation that we've listened to them talk about it, and the purpose of this show is to let people know that offshore is for real, it's viable, and that's where you want to play, not with your local bookies.
Are you too busy to wager when you want? Vegas Book now offers 24-hour safe and secure wagering for the discreet player. Your toll-free call is greeted by highly trained professionals who understand the demand for speed and accuracy. All year long, you too can wager on the world's sporting events. Along with point spreads and over-unders, we offer teasers, futures, parlays, and specialty bets. Operators are on duty from 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time till the last game goes off, so call 1-888-765-9061 to open your account today and start winning tonight, all with Vegas Book.
Hi there, sports fans. ACK is back to remind you that the explosion of cyberspace sports has changed the way America experiences sports. That's why you'll be getting 21st century technology right here at Football Forecast. Hey, I can remember when a website was that thing in the upper corner of my bedroom. But now you can keep up with the latest football forecast at our website, www.footballforecast.com. So get your free picks off our internet. More later when ACK is back.
Be sure and stay tuned for the next exciting edition of Inside Sports Gaming with Buzz Daly.